A 10-year-old girl raped. It happened in Ohio. Have you heard about this story? There's a good chance you haven't because people have been lying about this story, distorting it, covering it up. But now we know. Law enforcement says, yes, a 10-year-old girl was raped. And the story is being exploited. The pro-abortion community, they're trying to make hay of this thing. And they're trying to obscure the fact that it is an illegal immigrant who is the alleged rapist. Now, we've been warned about illegal immigrants and the crime that often comes with them. Think about it. Coming into this country illegally, like this, I think there is it stands to reason, logically, a much higher likelihood that you might find a criminal in the mix as opposed to those who come here legally. This is a nation of immigrants. Come legally, not illegally. You know, this was a rape. And Donald Trump had the boldness and the candor to point it out that there is a major criminal element when it comes to illegal immigration.
They're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
When he announced for president, that's when he said that. He was 1,000% right, and everybody went nuts, calling him a liar, calling him a racist, simply for speaking the truth.
How can you succeed when you say things like that?
Well, you can't, again, Gail, if the question is how can you become president, you can't by saying things like that.
14 million people he's smearing and maligning. Right. That's wrong. And we have to say very, very clearly, all of us, that kind of stereotyping of 14 million people is not acceptable.
On the very first day of Donald Trump's candidacy, when he referred to Mexican immigrants as criminals and rapists, his campaign has been characterized by extreme statements steeped in bigotry and bearing a tenuous relationship to facts.
The media, they have a tenuous relationship to the facts. He was speaking specifically about illegal immigrants, illegal, and it stands to reason, it's logical that there will be a greater criminal element among illegal immigrants than those who come here legally. People who come here legally, of course, we welcome them. Donald Trump, you see what they do to him when he utters the truth? They try to cancel him. They try to cancel him on his first day out as a candidate for president. He could say these things. He would say these things because he actually ran as a citizen, not a career politician. Career politicians have got us to this point, and there are so many of them, actually. They define the swamp, and they're on both sides of the aisle. Here are some of our least favorite. Number one, Adam Schiff. He got into politics when he was just 33 years old. Next, hasn't been around too long, but she got an early start at just 27 AOC. Gavin Newsom, who's making a lot of noise right now, has been in this game since he was 28. He's in his mid-50s now. Joe Biden, of course, 27 years old, and has been doing it ever since. Now, again, it's not just Democrats. Republicans as well, and we've got some of the worst. Adam Kinzinger, you know he got into politics at the age of 20. Talk about a guy who saw himself as president someday. Liz Cheney, perhaps the most corrupt of them all, at 23 years of age. Mitch McConnell, oh boy, 26 years of age. Now, some of these guys, by the way, I do, but I think they're consumed with a heck of a lot of ambition, and maybe it might be more for them than it is for us, at least in the early stages. I mean, Marco Rubio, how old was he when he got into this game? 25 years of age, 25. I mean, you're designed biologically to think about yourself and your family before the country. Paul Ryan, not a fan. How old was he? 20, how old is he? 22! Goodness gracious, 22. And DeSantis. Now, I like DeSantis, but you know how I feel. I think he should wait his turn, and now is not his time. He's been in this since the age of 34. And Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has been in the political game since the age of 29. Think about it. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't see these guys as having put their country first. I think it was about their ambition and making their own way. Again, I like Ted Cruz, but I didn't like it I didn't like it at the 2016 convention when he said, well, he didn't say vote for Trump. Do you remember?
If you love our country and love your children as much as I know that you do, stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
Notice anything? He didn't say vote for Donald Trump. That's what he was supposed to do, and he didn't. Of course, we love our children. We even love the unborn, Ted Cruz. And you know what? If Hillary Clinton had won that election, this wouldn't have happened. 3 judges who just overturned Roe v. Wade, they wouldn't be in office. We have Trump to thank for that, and you held your nose and didn't tell anybody to vote for him. Again, I forgive you because I think you've come around on Donald Trump, and let's talk about him. At the age of 69 years old. So what did he do? A lifetime of achievement. And it wasn't like he was clamoring to be president. Along the way, people were interested in him running. Usually it's the other way around. They sell themselves. No, everybody wanted to know, will you? When will you?
Would you like to be the president of the United States?
I really don't believe I would, Ronna.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not.
I think the next president of the United States could have some very, very, very serious problems. It's going to be, I think, it's going to be a very difficult presidency because of the problems that we're talking about right now.
And you don't want it to be Donald Trump?
I do not want it to be Donald Trump, but I do want the problems to be solved.
They've been asking him the question all along. Why? Because talent, ability, seriousness of thought. People saw that, they gravitated to it, and they wanted him to run someday. It comes to politicians, typical politicians like people we know. Big Smile's been in the United States Senate since 100 years ago. Every senator sees themselves as a future president. Reporters ask because that's what you do, not because of any special talent that they have or any special insight. You know, Donald Trump is really the type of president our founding fathers were thinking about. Not a full-time bureaucrat, swamp guy, someone of talent, someone who had something to offer in Philadelphia back then, Washington, D.C. today. Look at them. Look at those guys, right? They are all, just about all, I know, good people, some of them, but they're all, I do believe, out for themselves. And some politicians admit that. Some actually say, especially once they're out of the game, they'll admit it. Do you remember Jim McGreevey? Now, Jim McGreevey, well, he left office under circumstances we'll get to in a moment. And he was the governor of New Jersey, and he wrote a book called The Confession. He had to leave politics because he had an affair with a guy who worked on his staff. Do you remember?
My truth is that I am a gay American. And I am blessed to live in the greatest nation with a tradition of civil liberties, the greatest tradition of civil liberties in the world.
So he leaves office, and then he starts to really think about what motivated him, what the process is like. And very candidly, and I think he's in a very good place now, especially when he wrote this book, campaigning gave me the emotional assurance I craved. Let's see. Being permanently on the stump helped remind me that people liked me, that I was likable despite my differences. Maybe I continually sought proof that I'd buried my differences deeply enough to be liked. There is no question that I needed the kind of affirmation that only campaign-style appearances provided. A lot of honesty there. Very good book. I think there are a lot of politicians who seek the limelight, who seek the attention for all kinds of reasons. It's kind of logical when you think about it. But remember again about Donald Trump. He had all of that stuff. He had the attention, he had the money, and he also had skill. Who can turn an empty pit into a partially built building into this? This is world-class talent, and it still stands for something in America as opposed to being able to talk, and ask for money all the time.